panel discussion. I'm Dave DiNatale, as we've been doing these panel discussions monthly, really going back now 13 months since what happened in Minnesota and George Floyd. And we've come together with various groups of people in our area to talk about issues of racial justice and social justice and how we can move forward together as a community. As we look at physical and verbal attacks against the Asian American community, they have grown significantly in the past year due to this false belief and false narrative that Asian people are to blame for COVID-19. And with all of that tragedy that's been going on, there's been signs of support and coming together in the community, nationally and certainly locally. So for tonight's panel discussion, we wanted to bring together the AAPI community and talk about this. And there's nobody better to engage the discussion than my guy, Chris Webb. You see him on front row. He's a 3 News contributor. He is also a poet. He's a filmmaker. He's a performer, a man of many talents. And as I hand it off to you, Chris, we're going to have fun tonight in this discussion, and we're going to tackle some important points. And we're going to do it with 3 very special people.
Thank you so much, Dave. Yes, we are going to do it with 3 very special people. I am so honored to be joined by my 3 friends who are, when it comes to industry and media, I see them all as titans in their respective field. I'm joined by Zosimo Maximo, James Pizarro, and Jamie Kenton Sluss. It is so nice to be joined by you all today. I want to introduce you all and just gush about the amazing things that I know, but I think that it would be best if you all give introductions on who you are, what your companies are, and what you do. Because this is Zoom, and I know that everyone will talk at the same time or nobody will talk at all, I'll give a quick order. So if we could start with Zosimo, go into Jamie, and then end with James, that would be great for introductions, and then I'll ask a couple questions. So Zosimo, feel free to take it away.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks for having me tonight. And pleasure to be here with my fellow AAPI guests tonight. But my name is Zosimo Maximo. I am originally from Cambridge, Ohio, which is about 2 hours south of here. But as soon as I graduated, I took off, went to New York to study fashion, ended up working in the fashion industry for about 10 years. And then I segued into film. So I moved out to Los Angeles, ended up going to graduate film school. From there, I became a commercial director and also a reality director and producer for networks like MTV, BET, Spike Television, and the Style Network. Some notable shows. I know you had a laugh at this one. I used to direct Room Raiders for MTV, if you guys remember that crazy show. Also Ultimate Fighter for Spike Television. But a job brought me here in 2010. It's a company called Stack Media. IMG had a little bit of a stake in it. And I was brought here to transition a fitness magazine onto digital. At the same time, my wife was an actress turned fitness instructor, and she started working for Lululemon. So she had an opportunity to come here to Cleveland to become the store manager. And then, which kind of gave us the idea to tell everyone this: as soon as you get off the plane from LA, you kind of look around and go, oh, they don't have a Pinkberry, they don't have a Poke, restaurant, they don't have a Soul Cycle. So long story short, about 6 years ago, my wife and I opened up a group fitness facility here in Woodmere. The first one, it's called Groove Ride. It's a group fitness boutique. And after about 3.5 years, we ended up with 3 of them, one downtown and one at Van Aken. But I am back to media. I have a documentary film in production right now about a high school basketball coach, a Black high school basketball coach that ended up in an Amish town in Berlin. And he, unfortunately, first he turned a Amish high school into a powerhouse basketball program, and then unfortunately he passed away. But I am doing the documentary. It's a top 60 Sports Illustrated story, and I got a couple of different projects in the works that may come up throughout this discussion. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And for all of you watching online right now, tomorrow during our special Turning Point episode, there will be a segment on Zosimo and his work and his advocacy. So make sure you tune into Turning Point tomorrow. Jamie, feel free to take it away.
Well, he has such a cool story. I feel like mine's not going to be as cool, but I worked in kind of all ends of media, from radio, TV, live event hosting. I worked for the Cleveland Indians, Radio Disney. I actually went to school for journalism, so I was a newspaper reporter for a long time. I just recently moved back to my hometown, which is also where I used to be a newspaper reporter. I'm currently hosting a show with another media outlet here in town. It's called Hidden Gems. I also work as the creative director at my husband's real estate company. And then I travel and I do a lot of modeling and acting. I've kind of worked on both sides of the camera and production. And then of course on the talent side, James, who's here, we've worked together many times and I've gotten to work for his company. So I've been enjoying kind of being back in my hometown. And so kind of traveling out. I was at a shoot today. I'll be at one tomorrow and just kind of enjoying life after COVID.
Jamie, thank you so much. The incredible thing about you is that every time I tune into your Instagram, you're always in a different city or state doing some amazing projects. So
thank you.
Thank you for taking the time. James, feel free to take it away, last but certainly not least.
Well, that's quite okay. My story is a bit truncated compared to the two. I've been in media relatively a short time, but I still am and started as a physician and still practice and have practiced for the two great institutions in Cleveland, and now have taken on the role as a creative director and cinematographer for my company called Red Bicycle Media. So we've done different things for the Cleveland sports scene as well as nationally, and have been fortunate enough to be involved in a commercial work as and also narrative work.
James, thank you again. Man, when I say that you all are titans in my eyes, I definitely mean it. And I think that there's a beautiful thing that you all provide to the media scene with your perspective. So this first question is for anyone. I know that might be a little chaotic, but feel free to chime in on it. So I know that I grew up personally with misrepresentations of Black culture in media. And I know that these misrepresentations affected me. Now, as three AAPI leaders who grew up in Ohio, how would you say that media impacted your cultural views coming up?
I guess I'll jump in on that. Chris, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and Kung Fu was one of the first Asian-inspired television shows. And it didn't even star an Asian. It starred David Carradine. Along the way, you saw a lot of stereotypical representation by people like Jerry Lewis, Mickey Rooney, which you can label as yellow face, the big buck teeth, the big glasses. And you did not know whether you were supposed to laugh at that with them or if they were kind of laughing at you. So and things have not really changed. There was a study that came out recently where in American film there have only been 44 films that have starred an Asian lead, and The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, has actually been in 14 of them. And I think, The Rock is such a big, huge entertainer that he's multicultural. I don't think people kind of look at him and then identify him as, as a typical Asian. So there's still a lot of work to do. And I'm very involved in the Hollywood push for more awareness, more access and opportunity for Asian filmmakers. And, that's really what it is. I think, I can equate a lot of, of the recent hate to some of the stereotypes that have been created by American film and television, right? We're looked at as weak, we're looked at as passive, we're looked at as people that probably will not, report things to the police or whatnot. We don't want to cause a ruckus. So, those type of stereotypes have definitely lent a little bit to what is happening in the streets now.
I would say that, I didn't have a lot of, I grew up in a predominantly white community, and I think there was maybe two other Asian individuals at my school. And at a young age, I wanted to get into TV and film. I didn't really have anyone that I looked to that was of my same ethnicity, that I really looked to, that I could kind of aspire to be like. I would say that didn't necessarily deter me. I still, I kind of had some other role models that I kind of wanted to get to where they are or were. And but I definitely, it was very obvious to me even at a young age that there wasn't really anybody that I could kind of look to who is, in TV or film, that I kind of said, yeah, that's who I really want to be, or they're like me. We really didn't have a lot of that when I was growing up, and I grew up also in the 80s and 90s. So I wouldn't say that deterred me, but it was, I mean, even at a little age, I noticed that there wasn't really anybody, who I could kind of look to say that's, that's me and I want to be that.
I think as far as a representation, it definitely was. It definitely was a time where you more or less wanted to fit in rather than set yourself apart, because that was just a way of surviving. And when I grew up in a predominantly black school, and then promptly moved to a white community where it was predominantly white, and so I got to experience both sides of the coin, so to speak, and had to fit in both places. So whether they be role models that were predominantly in the community or versus in the media, we frankly didn't have anybody, and we identified to just who our role models would be, whether black or white, or pretty much indifferent as far as race was concerned. It was just the areas that we're interested in.
That makes a great deal of sense. Thank you so much. Zosimo, you have woven advocacy into your Groove Ride and your personal platforms. Could you tell us a bit about the work that you do and how you pair business with mission?
Yeah, being an entrepreneur and just a passionate filmmaker, we have the ability to use our platforms and for impact. So everything that my wife and I have decided to do in this next chapter is impact based. So Groove Ride, the high-end fitness arena, is grossly underrepresented as well. When some of the bigger named companies out in New York made group fitness popular over the last 15 years, they were pretty adamant about saying that they were catering to the top 1% of Manhattan. These were companies based out in New York. So when you say that, what happens to the other 99%? There's a lot of people that aren't being catered to. So we see in group fitness, and we're talking about like luxury, high-end boutique fitness, which Groove Ride is, just a lack of representation on the BIPOC teacher side, and also on the consumer side. A lot of people that we talk to will say, like, we just never knew we were invited to the party. So my wife, who is Black Puerto Rican, it is very important for us to get that representation. And the first thing we decided to do was try to put as many teachers of color in front of our community. And that just welcomes more consumers of color to say, hey, there's actually somebody in there teaching a class that looks like me. Because of that, we've been able to attract a very diverse community within our studio walls. And now we want to take that into a bigger level, or on a national stage. We're working on a project called Groove Me TV, which is going to be the first BIPOC streaming television channel. for health and wellness, and everybody that we're going to feature, from the instructor to the health and wellness expert in mental health and spirituality, as well as founders of companies, BIPOC founders. They will be in the forefront. So the channel is going to highlight all of these people. So that is a mission of ours. And then on the media side, I recently formed a group called AAPI Creatives, and we put together a national roster. There's a dozen of us of screenwriter, director, filmmakers that we believe are kind of the next in line. We've been through the diversity programs, we've won script writing competitions, yet there's still a barrier to getting your first directing job on television. So what I am trying to do is work with independent studios out in Hollywood and about to kind of gain direct access. And we recently partnered with Braun Studios out of Vancouver that also has an office in LA. Braun just came off of a couple Oscar wins with Judas and the Messiah. They also did Joker. So now we have a direct contact and collaboration with Braun to get the filmmakers that I have assembled onto sets, to be able to shadow directors, to get into the writer's room, to even have them look at our projects. So, Braun is super engaged, and now they're getting the Academy involved, and we're just going for it. It's time, especially in Hollywood. The diversity conversation comes up. It's like a cycle, like every 5-6 years, and it's back. But we want to really unlock some of these doors and break down some of these walls, and not just have it be a discussion that goes away and comes back 5 years later. I think we need it to be like a Me Too movement where, people are really talking the talk. Let's go. Let's knock down these walls. Let's actually create jobs. Let's create opportunities, and let's get more diverse television programming and theatrical releases that will help break some of these stereotypes.
Wow. That is amazing. And I appreciate how you utilize not only your experience, but your connections to make this a very active and present movement. That's beautiful. James, I have seen you lend your platform and bring top-notch, near Hollywood quality production to groups and filmmakers that usually wouldn't have access to such a level of quality. What inspires you to help elevate the voices of groups of all people who may struggle to get their voices out otherwise?
Hey, James, you're muted.
First time on Zoom. So what I was saying is I'm fortunate enough to be able to have people work on set who might not have the opportunity to learn. And as a perceived underdog, I feel that I want to support other people who don't necessarily have the opportunity, and especially the tools. And I find that if you just give them the tools and the chance to succeed, I think they do great things. So that's an easy ask for me. And we've been fortunate enough to grow by learning from them. And I think sometimes they have the best ideas. And frankly, they're the best people to have on set. They're hungry. I almost prefer working with those than seasoned veterans, because they just like new interns. They want to learn. They're hungry. They realize they don't know everything. So I find it's an honor, and I learn as much from them as hopefully they learn from me.
Thank you so much. I feel like my thank you is twofold, because we met under similar circumstances. I won a contest, and we've been going strong, working on projects ever since. So thank you for all of the work that you do, James. Jamie, now you said something very interesting about growing up in the 80s and 90s and kind of representation on the screen. As a performer and an actress yourself now, what roles and stories have you not yet seen that you would like to see from the AAPI perspective?
You're talking about for me personally?
for you personally, and also
that I've watched others.
yeah. What has inspired you that you've seen, maybe that has been a great stride, and what would you like to see that hasn't yet been made, I guess?
Yeah. So a lot of what I do is a lot of commercial, industrial type work. I've been really lucky I got into stunt work maybe 6 years ago, which is actually how I got my STAG card. And so I've gotten a lot of really neat opportunities through stunt. It's funny because when I do a lot of commercial print, industrial type work, there are many, many times, and it works to my advantage. And also, I fill a lot of the stereotypical type roles of the nurse, the doctor, that sort of thing. And on one hand, I'm totally fine with that because it puts me on set quite a bit. There's always kind of that role to fill. And so in that aspect, I feel very grateful that I do work a lot more than a lot of my friends. I've been doing this now for about 19 years. And I was just talking to James about this. I've been really lucky that I work quite often. And I know a lot of my friends a lot of my Caucasian friends don't work as much as I do. And I really do feel that that's because, in some ways there's a role that I fill. And I mean, for me, hungry for work, I'm fine with that. However, I also feel like, being put in that box, sometimes, you do kind of feel like, am I being prevented from doing other things because I don't fit the stereotypical family. The nice thing is that as time has progressed, you see more and more of a Asian mom with a Caucasian dad, or a Black mom with a white dad. I mean, I've seen that progressively get better, and that's been really awesome. In the market that we're in, and unfortunately, especially since COVID, we haven't seen a lot of the film and TV roles come back here as much as strongly as they were once before. But in this market, for me, I would love to play, I guess more roles that are not so, I guess what you would stereotypical think. It's funny because when I'm on set, a lot of times that's what we talk about, is that I see the same people over and over because we are filling those same kind of roles. So I think hopefully as time goes on, we kind of get out of that box. And, it's not so, if you're this, you are this role. So I have seen progression in that, but definitely not as much as I would like to see.
I definitely agree with you. I see in certain roles that my friends do, I see a kind of forced diversity that still is stereotypical in a way, because now you need to have these, diverse groups and things. But I would love to see it become more natural in the future. So, wow, looks like we are nearing the end of this. Hopefully there's room for one final question that I will pose to everyone. And it's a bit of a weird one. Zosimo, you spoke about art imitating life and how, these stereotypical portrayals of AAPI communities kind of affected your view and others' view of, the community. My question is, if you all could remove one experience or stereotype that you faced in your lives so that no other generation of AAPI communities would have to face it, what would you remove?
That we're good at math. Yeah, we are passionate about a lot of things, and like Jamie said, I think the world looks at us as medical professionals, or martial artists and dragon women. We're more than that. I'd love to see our own friends, just tell a story about 7 young professional BIPOC professionals and Asian professionals just living and being, just showing other things that we are passionate about. We play basketball, we play music, we do a lot of things. So yeah, I think there's a whole discussion around the model minority, and that can get very, very deep. But yes, we are beyond the model minority.
Yeah, I echo that as well. I think when you open up your community to others who have not seen it, I think the walls come down, views change, and the only way to do that is have more involvement in the traditional, whether it be media or through the cinema or through commercial work, that you pick the best candidate to tell the message. And I just think it should happen. It's very hard though. There is that there is that paradox where you do want to include everybody, but as Chris said earlier, to feel that it's forced or just check the box to get the quote unquote token minority, and that doesn't feel very organic either. So I just think by lowering those walls, or those walls of ignorance, I just think that would definitely help.
I don't really know what more I have to add. I mean, I really agree with both of them. I do think that we're moving toward that. I didn't want to get too deep into this. I know in many other parts of the world, James and I were kind of chatting that, Asians in different parts experience different things than, some of the things that we've experienced personally. I think that, I felt very fortunate that, as all of this has happened with COVID, that in my kind of circle and where I live and work and have traveled to, that I feel like that we are starting to move past a lot of what some people have experienced. And like I said, I feel very fortunate that I haven't had to experience. I've seen it in other areas, but I personally haven't experienced it. And I'm hopeful that, that we'll just continue to build and love and grow. And I agree very much with what both of them said.
And I just want to add, Chris, this just came to mind. Just one thing real quick. Where are you from? I'm from Cambridge, Ohio. That's where I'm from. There's a lot of us that have not even been, abroad or to, Asia. So what is your ethnicity? Yes, you can ask that, but where are you from? I am from the United States. I am an American.
Thank you. Wow, that is very poignant. I know that we are nearing the end. Very, very quickly, like 2 sentences if possible. How can we keep in touch with you all?
You can follow me on IG at Zosimo Maximo, and then our company here in Cleveland, Groove Ride, is just at Groove Ride. That's GROOVERYDE. Right now we have studios at the Van Aken District and Woodmere.
James?
Jamie?
I'm on Instagram. I'm at Jamie Kinton, KINTON, and same with on Facebook, although I'm Jamie Kinton Sluss on Facebook. And I would say that was the best place to keep in touch with me.
I'll keep it simple at JT Red Bike at Instagram.
Perfect. Well, thank you all so much, James, Zosimo, Jamie. It has been an honor speaking with you.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Mentioned also front row to our tomorrow night, a turning point at 7:00. You can see more of our discussion and more about this topic tomorrow night at 7. Chris Webb, it's been an honor working with you, my friend.
Dave,
I can't wait to be back at the station. I can't wait to be back at the station, and I get to actually meet you and hang out with you. So I'm looking forward to that. But thank you, everybody, for watching another edition of a Turning Point panel discussion, and we'll keep the conversation going as always. Have a great night.
And thank you to WKYC for having us tonight. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, guys.